Welcome to Wave Your Grades on KUAW.org, the academic patriotism program that is dedicated to veterans and secondary scholars. I am your announcer, KUAW Wilson. Now, here is our host, civilian urban educator, Carl Boyd.
Thank you so very, very much. KUAW Wilson is our producer, engineer, announcer, co-host. And that is an acronym that actually spells Peach. She is a peach. She is a wonderful person. And she will keep us on task this afternoon. Wave Your Grades is, in fact, a program that we dedicate to those who serve and those who have served, asking American students to strive for excellence in honor of our troops. We have veterans who listen in, and oftentimes we have veterans as our guests. So they are proud when they get an opportunity to hear from young people doing very positive things. And believe me, KUAW Wilson, I wish you had been with us on Thursday when I first became acquainted with these young people. You talk about being proud and being positive. We are blessed this afternoon, and a gentleman whose name is Tay Neal, Mr. Neal, an educator, will introduce the topic and the young people to us on Wave Your Grades. Tay Neal, I cannot thank you enough for being with us this afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, and please set the stage for us.
Thank you so much. All right, well, I want to appreciate you for inviting us onto the show today. Very honored to have the interns I've been working with this summer be recognized for their hard work and their achievements. Yeah. I take this opportunity to say and express how proud of them I am. Like, they completely blew me out of the water with their presentation that they did on Thursday at KC260. So who we have here today, we have the older sister, we have Ella, we have Beyond, and then we have Mr. Harper.
That's me.
So what these three interns have been working on is they've been with an organization called KC Common Goods through the organization I'm affiliated with, which is ProX. ProX is a program through the Real World Learning Initiative that focuses on pairing students with employers. We have over 100 employers that we work with. They pair these interns up with these employers, and they do internships and they work on projects to impact change in organizations and even their communities in the case for these interns. KC Common Good is an organization that focuses on making an impact to make a change in the communities, especially when it comes to violence. What these students have been working on is coming up with a project and a solution for gun violence that affects young people ages 14 to 24. That's been their focus.
Yes, sir.
So on Thursday, what you would have seen is them at the KC 360 meeting presenting a wide range of solutions that they have to combat gun violence against young people.
Well, that is wonderful in so many ways. And as a matter of fact, you just mentioned a demographic 14 to 24, where Pro X is concerned. What is the age range of those participating?
So for the age range, I think it's more of a grade range.
Yes,
So
sir.
they focus on high schoolers. So we have
Outstanding.
freshmen all the way up to seniors, and even students who have graduated. Like Ella, she's graduated this past summer, but she still qualifies as a high schooler, for the summer program.
Outstanding. And I don't know how much has been communicated to you in terms of an introduction to this program, but I would like to start out just by your introducing yourselves, not only by name, but by school and grade. And if there is something in particular, like an affiliation with an organization or something like that, entirely up to you. So if I start immediately to my left and put that microphone right up to your mouth, please introduce yourselves.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Ala Karini, and I'm turning 18 years. I'm 18, and I'm turning 19 in about 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah. I graduated from Ruskin High School this summer, as Coach has said, and I'm currently going to Metropolitan Community College in Longview, taking 2 classes over the summer while doing my internship. I'm pursuing my studies in architecture.
Outstanding. Thank you so very, very much. Yes, please. And you can push the microphone to you. It's okay.
Hello, my name is Bianca Craney, and I am 17 years old. I attend Ruskin High School and Metropolitan Community College. I'm an upcoming senior, and I'm also taking a summer class
Thank you.
as well as my internship.
All right. Yes, sir.
My name is Harper Beetling. I am 15 years old and going into my junior year at William Chrisman High School. I am not taking any summer classes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Neal, let me indicate to you that our program, which is called Stoots for Boots, STOOTS is an acronym that stands for Students Theater of Operations, the school.
Mm.
We started in 2013. We initiated Stoots for Boots at Ruskin High School
Wow,
with Colonel Ivan Glasgow.
interesting.
So this is interesting that you happen to be here today. Please pass along our greetings to Colonel Glasgow. And the second thing that I am interested in as it relates to all of our very special guests are areas of either concern, concentration, delight. What are the things that are occupying your time, not only this summer, but as you view your aspirations for the future? And this time, we'll start to my right.
All right, so I think learning and researching for KC Common Good has obviously dramatically greatened my knowledge of gun violence in Kansas City, which has come as both it has had its positives and negatives, because I've found out that alarmingly the Kansas City homicide rates have been on a steady rise ever since all the way back in 2014, which is very tragic. I believe they've hit their, I think, all-time high in just last year, with I believe it was 182 homicides.
Yes.
Though don't quote me on that. But it has also provided me with a lot of hope into how we can move forward, as I've learned about the many different organizations and nonprofits and government entities who are all working diligently to help mitigate and reverse this trend and help Kansas City become a safer place for us all to live in. So that has been very inspiring and filled me with a great deal of hope.
Thank you very much. And next, please.
I'm also quite optimistic about reducing gun violence within KC Metro, such as the chief of KCPD. She was mentioning that there has been a decrease in homicides
Yes.
within every year, but once again, it's not something to celebrate. It's still numbers too high. So I think us interns and the youth, once we start to take once we start to take our platforms and start to speak out, we can make change.
Okay. And how about you?
I agree with everybody else. I feel like there needs to be a change in most of the educational systems that don't protect the students from most of the violence that's happening within schools and within their own households. Schools don't help evolve the younger generations within their schools, and they don't let our creativity evolve while we're in school. We have a curriculum we have to go by. I feel as though we need more educational systems to help protect not only within the schools from violence, but also within households, and help protect our creativity as we evolve, because most of that we lose as children.
Let me ask Mr. Neal a question. In as much as you're introducing Pro-X, pro is another term for positive. This is something that is going in that kind of direction. Have you gotten any surprises from, and as I have, how astute very positive young people are as it relates to their awareness of the climate in which they must matriculate?
Yeah. So my primary role throughout the school year is I'm an elementary school teacher. I'm actually in a unique position because I teach elementary, but I teach sixth graders. So I teach elementary, middle school.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm in a very unique position as an educator, and the interesting part is that I am intimidated by high schoolers. I'm often kind of tapped on the shoulder and scouted for teaching older kids. As a black male, in this educational space, it appears or seems as though the demand or the need for me as an educator is more towards the older kids. I still think I make an impact where I am with sixth graders because they're at such a crucial age. So I wasn't necessarily intimidated going into this program, but just high schoolers in general just kind of make me clammy. They have their own, they really have their identities established.
Yes.
By the time they get to upper high school, especially with these two older students, interns, they have very strong characteristics and they know who they are. What I found surprising is that in my experience with these high schoolers, I just have been absolutely blown away by the way that they think, by their own genuine initiative to take action and plan and think things out. What we all kind of realized together as we've been developing together in this program, because I'm developing as well, is a lot of our eyes were open to a lot of the things that were going on in Kansas City. A lot of them were really kind of shocked about just the violence and things. They all were just kind of in just shock about the things they were learning, and that was an interesting experience to see how unaware the student population is about their own community. A lot of I'm hearing their eyes open, in real time. Like I can hear the skin separating from their eyes as they're realizing what's going on in Kansas City. That was a very, very interesting experience for me, very impactful experience. But to see them, adopt the mission and the vision in real time is just like, it's incredible. I've seen them dig really deep into the systemic issues, the historical issues, and these are students, the interns I work with, from all different backgrounds.
I'm sorry.
No, and so that was it was very comforting to see how much these older students can shape me and impact me.
Yes, sir.
And it really just kind of it left a very positive impression on me for educating older students that I wasn't really expecting.
Let me tell you something that happened to me in North Carolina, and I've had the pleasure of working with schools in all but 3 of the United States, Rhode Island, Delaware, and Hawaii, but the other 47 I've worked with educators.
Wow.
And I was in North Carolina, made a presentation from grade K through grade 12. And when I finished talking about the positives in education, a young black male came to me to apologize because he was teaching something like 2nd or 3rd grade. And I had to take advantage of that opportunity, Mr. Neal, to thank him we need those images in the lower grades, certainly as much as in the upper grades, because if we're talking about young people's habits, they are fashioned at the young age rather than trying to correct something when they're at an older age. I appreciate you for working with those who are younger because you make the job for those who get them when they're older a lot easier.
Yeah.
And as we broach the next question, let me ask that each of you reintroduce yourself, say your name over again, get close to the microphone, as I ask from your perspective whether or not there were very deep surprises, or if the research that you have done so diligently, and let me say to KUAW Wilson that when they made their PowerPoint presentation and their vocal presentation, it was not just impressive from an academic standpoint, but from a passionate standpoint, because I got the impression that you were very sincere about your concerns. Just a brief reintroduction, and what were your surprises?
Yeah. Again, I'm Tay Neal of Kansas City. I just will reiterate my shock and surprise wasn't necessarily with the things they were learning about, because I've been introduced to those things, those topics such as like historical issues like redlining, and gerrymandering, and the influence that hip hop music has, for instance, on our youth. I'm familiar with those things as an educator and just as an invested black male, and a committed member of my community. It was just very interesting, and it deeply affected me to see these young people that aren't. Some of them are from my community, some of them aren't.
Yeah.
So these are axillary, components and people that are, learning about the culture and kind of like the impact that the culture has on the city and just on violence, and to just see them dig so deep into
Yes,
it.
sir.
And, I'm seeing their faces, and I'm seeing the light bulbs go
Right.
off. I can hear their hearts, beating faster and slower. I'm watching it in real time as they're like changing and shaping, and to see the product their solutions and the products that they come up with in response to those, it's mind blowing. Like I sit up at night sometimes just extremely fascinated and just impressed by these students that I've had the great pleasure of getting to know and
Yes.
and guide and educate. I feel like they've taught me a lot more probably than I've taught them. I gently just kind of nudge them in the right direction sometimes, but they're already usually headed that way. So I might throw a couple things out, but they just catch it so quickly and run with it. And I'm like, wait, well, you figured it out.
I don't remember whether or not I mentioned that when I started teaching in 1964, it was 7th and 8th grade science where I taught. But Mr. Neal and I would agree that you cannot be an effective teacher if you don't subject yourself to being an effective learner.
Absolutely.
So you're learning on an ongoing basis. And as I come back to you and ask you to reintroduce yourselves, so that I won't be guilty of just asking you to repeat the same kinds of things, what I am asking is, in as much as your major might have been something totally foreign from this kind of study, what are the kinds of things that might have surprised you, enlightened you, or confirmed something that you might have thought? And once again, and close to that microphone.
My name is Alec Karaney, and one thing that surprised me is mostly with how desensitized not only was I, but most of the people within my community are to violence. Like, they accept it and it's just another day, they move on.
Ooh,
Yeah. So
yes.
whenever it was mostly from my history teacher where I began to actually want to be an advocate and speak up to injustices, because after the war with Ukraine, when Russia began that war over, it made me realize how desensitized everybody was, and they're across the sea, it doesn't matter, it won't affect me. That type of mindset really saddens me, and most of the people only backlash against this whole war or multiple types of war because how it affects them economically, especially with money and how taxes rise.
Absolutely. Please go right ahead. Thank you so much.
My name's Bianca Rainey, and I also want to speak a piggy bank off of what Coach Neal was saying. I also have known a lot of different historical facts and statistics that were already brought up because I just pretty much learned about it within school and then within my own research. I've always been interested in just politics
Okay.
and just my community. What really started it off was not only the wars and how I was able to see people who were saying, well, it's not my country, it's not my problem, but was also to see how my classmates were affected by it. I had a classmate, I was in elementary at the time, and she was in first grade, I was in third, and she was killed by a drive-by shooting.
Oh, no.
So she was, a victim of gun violence,
Okay.
and still to this day, the family is still dealing with that heartbreak. So that was a big reason why I joined KC Common Good. But
Thank you very, very much. And yes, please.
Yes, as once again, I am Harper Beetling with ProX and KC Common Good. I think the desensitization, as these two have mentioned, has been a big thing that I've learned about. But I also think, for me personally, I think the most alarming thing have been, as I mentioned, the statistics of how common Kansas City is. I know I've not been able to get an fully confirmed number, but I know Kansas City is in the top 10 cities in terms of the homicide rate in the nation. A nation which is known for, among many other things, it's a large amount of violence, to put it bluntly. And the other thing that has really stuck with me has been the injustices and inequalities in the homicides. For example, I mentioned this during the KC360 presentation on Thursday, how black males make up 63% of homicide victims and 53% of homicide suspects.
Right.
Which is incredibly alarming and disheartening to know that this group is being so disproportionately affected. And also how homicide, I've learned, is many of the violent crimes are not spread out along this all over the city. It's concentrated in many small neighborhoods. I believe there's a very small, a few square miles area that apparently is 25% of the violent crime in Kansas City occurs in that area, which has really opened my eyes to the nature of violent crime, I feel.
Let me ask how much time we have for the break. Well, I'm going to use those 2 minutes to bring us to the break by saying something that may or may not be surprising to you. And we are blessed this afternoon to have a parent and a sponsor with us. And let me say to you that I was privileged, I was honored to do a program called the Generation Rap on Hot 103 Jams. And we were on in 1991, and this was the Iraq War. And I did a program, a call-in program about the war, 1991. And I had colleagues, Brother Neal, who came to me, and they expressed not just surprise, but they were amazed at the intelligence of the young people's response to what was going on in their call-ins to the program, as compared to some who were older, who were less intelligent about it. And I have had people come to me and say, Brother Boyd, I am just amazed at how intelligent these teenagers are. And my response to them young people was, I'm not. We take our young people for granted. These young people are smart, they are attentive, and what we need to understand is also sensitive to what is going on around them. So as I take us to the break, I every once in a while quote wax poetic unquote, and I have a church group where the young people ask me to put it to a beat, so I call it geriatric rap. But I had some words that will take us to the break about my feeling, and the words were tell the truth about the youth. And it's tell the truth about the youth, tell the truth about the youth. Tell the truth about the youth, tell the truth about the youth. A lot of people want to come to us and talk about the youth. I just don't want to hear it unless they tell the truth. A lot of people want to believe all the hype. They see all youth as one stereotype. Just because they're young, we try to say they're bad. That's a generalization, and that's sad. They talk about gangs, teen parents, and things, dropouts, cop-outs, slanging cocaine. I know you're worried. It's a natural thing, but just being as a group doesn't make them a gang. Tell the truth about the youth. Tell the truth about the youth. DeQuay Wilson.
I'm going to start with our announcement, but then there's a couple of things I want to say before I turn
Please
it back
do.
over. So it is time to remind our 7th through 8th grade students that you can win a monetary award from our sponsoring organization. Yes, we do say organization on purpose, with purpose. Students for Boots. Your essay title will be Heroes You Know You Didn't Know Were Heroes. Your content will identify a veteran at your school who can be absolutely anyone, cafeteria worker, bus driver, teacher, administrator, absolutely anyone. If your essay is chosen and submitted by an adult who gives you permission to read it on this Wave Your Grades program, you will be awarded a monetary prize. Please send entry or inquiry to studentsforboots@gmail.com. That is STOOTSFORBOOTS, studentsforboots@gmail.com. One of the things I want to say is one of the joys that I get from being a part of this program is the many youth that we have. I'm fortunate enough that I am one of the ones that I recognize that our youth are not only intelligent, but they also have something to teach us. We do not know everything. They look at things through a fresh set of eyes that haven't been slanted by the world, so they do have opportunities to come up with solutions, which is, especially when I think about the youth that I have met on this program, it gives me relief that I don't think that humanity is going to end. I don't think that I think we'll be able to come out of whatever this is that we are going through. We will be able to get to a point where we come together as a people, because I think our youth are getting tired of all of the chaos. And I say this as a parent of an honorary graduate from Ruskin High School who was murdered in his senior year. So I understand the impact of homicide in our community. I understand it from a first-hand experience, but then also second-hand because I know other mothers who have lost children to homicide fathers as well. I guess it's a blessing. Sometimes it's hard to see, but I was fortunate enough to have worked for a period of time with Ad Hoc Group Against Crime and Mothers in Charge, where we work with families who were surviving members of homicide. So I understand the great impact that it has, and I'm thankful that we have a group of youth who also understand the impact and have ideas to how to change that around. This is why I still remain hopeful for the future, because of the youth that I meet on this program like you. Now, with that said, I'm going to turn the mic over to our host, Carl Boyd.
Thank you so very, very much. And I say unashamedly, in as much as I get to see DeQuay Wilson every week on this program, and as a matter of fact, we met because of her involvement with Mothers in Charge and working with the Ad Hoc Group Against Crime. But that's not all, many others as well. And I look at her strength and her ability to be able to address something that is so personal to her. I cannot tell you how blessed I feel to be in her presence and learn from her. We indicated that we had, as a part of our, quote, audience, unquote, a program sponsor, a parent, and I would like for you to introduce who is with us this afternoon.
Absolutely. So today I have a parent. I have Harper Beeling's parent, Greg Beeling, and I also have my our organization, ProX organization, our communications coordinator, Izzy Robinson.
And while you don't have a microphone, there may be something that you want us to deal with. Just let us know. You say it, we'll repeat it on the microphone. So please. Anything now, for instance, and Mr. Neal, will you repeat And of course, if you want to walk up to the microphone, that's also all right. So, would you like to come on up and just? This is this is our honor. This is our privilege, and we thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Well,
Please.
yeah, I think I just want to echo some of the stuff that you've been saying. Like, I love that that you have this platform. I was very excited when I learned that they were going to come on, and I got to work
Thank
with them this
you.
morning, and I was seeing what they were writing and the voice that they have to share. And I very much share the same sentiment as you when it comes to youth, and that not only are they smart, and not only do they see through fresh eyes, but a lot of the time I feel like as adults we get in their way. They have so much to do. We kill your creativity. And the one thing I'm the ProX communication coordinator, and I'm so passionate about the ProX program because they get an opportunity not only to get summer experience and work with employers, but a lot of the time they're working not just within the businesses, but they work on a project, and they're given a problem, they're given a challenge statement, and then they use the design thinking process, which is all about empathy and interviewing people within the community that are experiencing the problem or the challenge, and then they have an opportunity to ideate and prototype and test those ideas, and then they pitch back to their employers about the problem that they're working on, and as employers we will then go and implement their solutions. And it's just such an opportunity, not just yes, they're getting an experience to get something on their resume and get real world learning experience, but if adults in our community are smart, they will join ProX, and they will gain interns, and they will get fresh eyes and amazing insight, and they will get out of the way of the youth and allow them to use their passion and use their intelligence to solve the problems that we're having in our community and within our businesses. Like, they are incredible.
Well, I will ask that our parent contemplate letting us know how he feels about this, but while you are contemplating, will you please give us contact information, if it is all right, as far as someone who might want to affiliate?
Yeah, so anyone who is interested in ProX, they can go to proxsummer.org, or they can email us at info@proxsummer.org, and we can get them set up so they can join us for the 2025 season.
Oh, that's outstanding. And what does a fiscal year look like? Is it the school year, or it goes from what to what? How does that?
Yeah, so the summer program, generally we start recruitment for employers and for interns or ProX participants in the fall. So it's a very early recruitment process. The application is usually due at the beginning of the year. And then we have a hiring fair where we bring, like last year we had about 3,000 students apply to ProX. And about just over 1,000 of them came to the hiring fair. So they come to a hiring fair, they come with a resume, and they're all nodding. They're like, yes, this is the process we went through.
Yeah.
They come to the hiring fair, and they get to meet with a room of employers. They walk around, and they can choose what industries and what projects they'd like to work on. They interview, and then they get hired on the spot that day. And then we start the internship usually in June, and it's about a 5 to 6 week program, and then it ends with a showcase. So this year, the showcase is on July 11th down at Bartle Hall, I guess it's the Casey Convention Center now, but they have an opportunity to either participate in a pitch competition or a science fair board competition. And they'll pitch their solutions at that time.
Well, now you gave us a numerical demographic. How about geographical? How widespread is the program?
Yeah, we're in every county within the KC metro area and beyond. So we have some students who are even coming from Lawrence. They're coming from Platte. They're coming from the outskirts. And then we have a lot of students within the KCPS school district and the KCK school district.
Okay, so now if we look across the land, are there similar programs beyond the greater Kansas City area with which you are familiar?
Yeah, not yet. ProX is the first of its kind.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, no doubt you will not be surprised, as there are others who would want to affiliate with what you're doing. And I certainly don't want to impose upon a parent, but if you don't mind coming up to the microphone, that would be a real honor for us. And Mr. Neal, cannot thank you enough for making this possible this day. Did not think that we would get a parent as part of our program, so please.
Well, mostly I'm just a fly on the wall if I'm that at all. I don't get to see a lot of what's going on the day-to-day, but I'm just filled with a lot of hope seeing these youths here with this passion for this project, this is really important what you guys are doing and what you guys are doing over here too. This is just it just fills me with hope. That's really where I'm at right now.
That is so important, and as a matter of fact, you cannot gauge, not for a moment, and Quay will agree with me, the kind of credibility you give to our offering. To have this group in this studio at this time, cannot thank you enough. So please, again, anything that you want to say or you want to raise your hand or whatever you might want to do, but just your coming on with us today, thank you so very, very much.
Thank you.
Okay, as we go on with this program, let me remind you that this is a program that is dedicated to veterans and, for that matter, active duty service. And the way that we couch that is to suggest American students striving for excellence in honor of our troops. Imagine that someone who is deployed goes to battle and returns home to a neighborhood more violent than where they have served. That is appalling. And I think that when we talk about something that used to be referred to as, and nobody here is as old as I, but you might have heard the term shell-shocked, which became PTSD. So that here we have something that you never would have thought would have been something in common. That those who have actually engaged wartime coming home to PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, could share that with our modern-day students. Now, if that is not appalling, I don't know what is. So I can tell you, oh, and by the way, I'm a civilian, so we're not veterans in the room, but I can tell you how encouraged our guests are when they meet students like this. So we thank you, parent, and we certainly thank all of you for this presentation. So let me go into this particular question. And by the way, it's your program. You might want to say something that is totally different from what I am asking. But Mr. Neal, asking your help with us again, tell me about optimism versus pessimism. Anyone may start. At your age. Look around at the landscape and please go right ahead.
On this.
Yes.
My take on optimism versus penalism is it's not just a mindset. It's the way that you look at your outcomes when you're presented with a challenge, when you're presented with something that you're not comfortable with. And I think a lot of the times people just start to look at the bad things because you're not presented with this, a situation that you're used to. So you're kind of like, you feel stuck maybe, or you feel like it's kind of the end of the world. So optimism, I believe it's not a mindset, it's the way that you handle challenges and the way you can start to take action based on it, while penalism is kind of wanting to stay in your comfort zone and not knowing how to take action and being afraid to take action.
I'm going to tell you something that you have helped me with after we hear from the others. Thank you very much for that, and I will, please. Pessimism versus optimism.
When I first saw this question, I was just debating on whether or not I was a pessimist or an optimist, and I would say I'm more of an optimist.
Okay.
Because I relate more with it because I aspire to change many things within our world, and not just within our community, but mostly throughout the world. As I am an American citizen, I was born and raised here, but I'm also a Middle Eastern, and I would also like to go to my country and help them out over there as well, to connect ties throughout the world, not just here but anywhere. By addressing, I want to change my community by addressing mostly the high crime rate within Kansas City, so the kids everywhere will know what's happening, because it seems like either they don't know what's happening in most neighborhoods, or they do know what's happening and they just don't care. And by investing in the metro area and its children, we can in turn unlock a lot of numerous opportunities for them and allow them to soar high to unimaginable heights, in turn elevating our city.
Wow. Yes, sir.
Yes, I think Ala and Bayon have brought up very good points about optimism versus pessimism. When I received this question, I looked at it more in the lens of how does it affect KC Common Good and what we're doing. And so I wrote a little bit if you
Please.
you want me to share.
Please.
I wrote that I am optimistic about the situation regarding gun violence in Kansas City because I have seen the initiatives and the steps taken by many different nonprofits and government entities of all different kinds to mitigate violence. And I've seen the positive effects of KC 360 and the success of Omaha 360, the initiative after which it is modeled. And I think optimism is very, very important, if not essential, to mitigate gun violence and to address it so that we can stay motivated. Because you hear all the time in the news these stories about this tragic shooting and these victims have been, and how their families have been affected, how countless lives have been ruined by this, and I believe it can get very demoralizing, and I believe that is probably one of the reasons that so many people stay out of this sort of area, is because it can get very demoralizing hearing all these tragedies and events that happen. And so I think it is important to be optimistic about things have changed, and things will continue to change for the better. But in the same vein, we also need to not let that be our only thought about that, because we also need to be realistic about the fact that we cannot go anywhere of significance if the community does not put in effort.
Preach, Harper.
Yes, indeed.
Preach, Harper.
Wow.
So maybe I can talk about my experience with pessimism and optimism, which goes a different direction than them, because I mean I am in a different realm. But let's talk about how pessimistic I was about educating older students.
Yes,
so
sir.
let me define my role. I'm a coach with ProX, so I work directly with the interns to coach them through their internship.
Yes.
I'm a teacher, so that's always going to be kind of a vibrant characteristic that comes through. I'm an educator first; it's a core part of my identity, my personality. But like my pessimism, like I mentioned earlier, is my intimidation towards older students. So I deal with a very, I educate a very disrespectful demographic with sixth graders in the inner city.
Okay.
They're cute and innocent enough to be lovable, but they're off the chain.
A challenge.
Yeah, sixth graders are off the chain. And let's talk about my pessimism towards older students. Is that what I would assume pessimistically is that the older they get before they reach adulthood, it would be worse, right? As they get older, they're going to be more disrespectful, more challenging, more rebellious. And if it's anything like whenever I was in high school, that's my my interpretation of it is how I was. I can't say I was a disrespectful kid. I was pretty adored.
Sure.
as a youth. I think I was raised to be a certain type of respectful, and it might be showing my age, but as I've been working with these high schoolers, they've changed me a lot.
Thank you.
They've made a very, very lasting impact on me. And as I've just been sitting here in this interview, I just was sitting here reflecting on: am I educating? Am I putting my effort into the right demographic? Because who's affected most by gun violence is these 14 to 24-year-olds. I'm teaching right below that, so I do have my place.
Sure.
To mitigate disaster, make a change, make an impression. I do have my place, but maybe I'm more encouraged from this experience to spend more time and energy in the demographic that's most highly affected, which I relate to the most. I was an at-risk black male youth,
Mhm.
and I was a victim to the statistics in a variety of ways. And I've been fortunate and blessed enough to come out to be the product that I am today, thanks to the
Absolutely.
influences that were in my life. And uh, coincidentally, my long lasting positive role models and impacts weren't black males. It was majority white females in the suburbs that kind of helped
Yes,
guide my
indeed.
path a lot. But I have a unique perspective with being from the inner city, and then also being able to bridge over and go to a suburban high school. So I have a unique perspective, and just to be bringing it all back home through
Absolutely.
these experiences, and working with some of my interns are from the high school I graduated from, like Blue Springs, and then some of them are in the school district I work for now, Kansas City Public School District, and then everything in between. So
Outstanding.
it's shaping me.
Yes, sir.
I hate to say that I'm probably being shaped more than them.
Well, please don't hate it,
Yeah.
because that's an excellent thing. Were you going to say something? I defy anyone in this room to leave pessimistic. I grow more optimistic with each of your statements, and appreciate so much your being a learner, and the participation in this particular exercise. You said Middle East, and where's that?
Both my parents are from Jordan.
Yes. So that when you look at someone who has a worldwide perspective, and yet allows us in a very local territory to gain from your passion about this small demographic, but looking at it from a world perspective, cannot do anything but say thank you. And thank you for even allowing yourselves to be concerned beyond those who are your immediate relatives living somewhere else. And I told you that I wanted to come back to something that you made me think. And what you brought me to, and please, sponsors, parents, teacher, correct me if I'm wrong, but you made me think about peer pressure and activities with those your age. And I have to see you as nothing but a positive influence, but how does that manifest from your perspective? You definitely made me think about those relationships and the importance.
For me, since I was pretty much a young girl, I've always kind of went into peer pressure. I didn't know really how to stand up for myself, and I think you kind of learn that through experience, but you also learn that through the relationships you make and the relationships that you have. I've known as I've gotten older to build positive influencers within my community and within my school, especially because the people that you hang around with often determine who you will become and how you will act to those situations.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, how much time do we have? This is terrible.
We're coming close to the end. We've got about 2 minutes until we're 10 minutes till.
Okay, because this is so important to me.
Mhm.
As I said, I started teaching 7th and 8th grade, 1964. So I've had all of these years' experience where the term peer pressure is automatically interpreted as negative. And I am looking at positive peer pressure
Yeah.
manifesting even accidentally.
Yeah.
But you encourage so much our ability to help those who work with those young people to understand that all peer pressure is not negative after all.
Yeah.
And this is not just enlightening, but extremely
Yes.
encouraging.
Mhm.
And we're looking at 3 representatives. You said you had 3,000. I am not going to dare measure others by these 3 who are stellar.
Yeah.
And if you had the audacity to suggest to me that there are others at this level, how can I be anything but optimistic
Yeah.
after this encounter? This is remarkable. It is so helpful, and somehow, DeQuay Wilson is our producer, our engineer, announcer, co-host. She's the peach. We've got to find a way to have what has been said today reach more than my normal 7 listeners. Well, no. Sometimes my wife washes her hair and it's only 6. So. But what you are saying and the way that you are saying it is so important because we must take it seriously. In as much as we're getting down to the end of the program, this is how I want to conclude. I want each to have the opportunity to say whatever your summary remarks might be. But I want to start, Mr. Neal, with your repeating contact information and then allow you to start with summary remarks, and we'll go around the table.
Yeah, absolutely. So for ProX affiliation or anything concerning that, I would contact info@proxsummer.org. Again, I'm Tay Neal. I want to just reiterate how impressed I've been with the interns I've had the pleasure of working with. I want to just comment briefly on something that you mentioned with peer pressure and then the negativity. I do think I'm guilty to the connotation of the negativity, especially statistically, mathematically speaking. For youth, delinquency is actually the numbers. I don't want to lie and quote numbers, but there's alarming numbers for participation in delinquency and it being in direct correlation with one youth and a second youth or a third youth. Delinquency rarely happens independently.
Okay.
I bring my friend with me. So I smoke cigarettes or I smoke weed. I bring a friend, and then that friend brings a friend, and that friend brings a friend, and that friend brings a friend. So at least the science says, when you dig deep into this, with those positive things, you have to coordinate youth activity with positivity.
Okay.
So you don't just leave them, you don't just throw them out and drop them off at the mall. You give them structured activity, and that's what these students have decided to spend their summer doing, and they're being compensated for it. That this is actually a paid opportunity for them.
Praise God.
So,
that's so good.
So that's how you combat that. That's how you combat the delinquency and gun violence with youth. You find things for them to dig their hands into, and you give them a place to grow. And I've got to see how brilliant these young minds are. And again, they made a lasting impact on me. And I'll conclude with that.
Thank you so very, very much. Concluding remarks.
Yes, as Coach Neal said, I think ProX is a very good program, and I would highly recommend it to any high school age participants who may or may not be interested in having something to do with their summers. It gives us a great start, I feel, to the professional world, and also the monetary compensation is also very helpful.
Yes.
And it is very prolific. I was wanting to mention that I live in Independence, which is sort of on the outskirts of Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I have one friend I know for sure who's doing ProX this year, and another who did it last year. So it's very wide-reaching. And so I wanted my concluding remarks to be also in line with the optimism, because I do think, as I mentioned, these disheartening and tragic stories can make the issue of gun violence seem a very daunting task to approach. But I want to assure these listeners that the things are being done, these steps are being taken, but also that once again, we will not, most likely, will not get anywhere of substance if the community doesn't involve themselves, if the listeners don't involve themselves. So if you, and I'm not trying to say that if you are not in a place in your life where you are able to do that, if that is you, then by all means stick to working on yourself first. But if you have the time, have the resources, have the ability to help with this, and if you have been looking and seeing this violence in Kansas City, and you've been seeing statistics, and you're like, this is concerning to me, how can I make a difference, then by all means, I encourage you to look into all these initiatives.
Yes, sir.
Such as KC Common Good, Ad Hoc Group Against Crime,
Yes.
KC 360. Who are some others?
Aim for peace.
Aim for Peace,
Mothers in Charge.
Gun Corners,
Yeah.
Center for Conflict
There
Resolution,
you go.
Grandparents for Gun Safety.
Yes.
There are many,
Free
there,
Sharper.
there are many
We do
other
have to.
groups that also help, but those are just a few to get you started.
Wow, thank you. Yes, please.
I wanted to hop off of what Harper said. I know a lot of people cannot go in the community and take action. It's probably not safe for a lot of the youth or just people in general. So what I will suggest is to go to proxsummer.org starting July 7th and vote for Together for Casey. We are starting an initiative to actually bring change. We're even after this internship is done, we're still going to be volunteering at KC Common Good. We're going to push this action out because it's not something I just look at the financial aspect of, winning a showcase. It's I want to push an issue. I want to push this solution out. As I've also built a solution last year at KC Pet Project, that's what made me want to do this again. I just love, me and my sister, we really loved this experience. So I also want to express my gratitude to ProX. But don't forget to vote for us if you want to actually take change.
I think I saw another head nodding, but please go ahead.
I just want to leave a comment. As a community, we need to look towards our neighbors and connect with them. Offer help when they need it, and regardless of your own circumstances, even if you're well off or not, you can still make a difference. Remember, you don't need money to help people.
Thank you, thank you.
Preach, girl.
Wow. Yes,
Voting
please.
is free, by the way. So
Fantastic.
Together for KC.
DeQuay Wilson.
I would like to thank everyone, our listeners, our studio guests, for joining us on Students for Boots Wave Your Grades program. We do come to you live every Saturday from 1 until 2 p.m. Central Standard Time from the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center right here in Kansas City, Missouri. I am your announcer, DeQuay Wilson. Now our host, Carl Boyd, will close with his daily message for students in honor of our veterans from his book, Morning Messages.
To students across the USA, your Students for Boots message for this day, June 29th. Heroes deployed, your time is coming as they prove every day their worth. Your time is coming, your time has come to be the best students on earth. Thank you all so very much for being on Wave Your Grades, presented by Students for Boots. Thank you, parent. Thank you, sponsor. My name is Carl Boyd. Gracious God and wonderful Wanda, I'm on.